Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam Graydon and the team as Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by Remax Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. Remax Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call Remax Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Go. Hello, friends of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Cam K Graydon Bun back with you, and we are going virtually out west today. This is exciting for us because we're getting to chat with. We've only really chatted with maybe Jason White and Chantel Kalika. And that's kind of all we've kind of talked to from out west. And this time around, we've got the driver who made his debut last year in the NASCAR Pinty Series for DJK Racing in one of the more beautiful cars out there, the Provincial Vodka Dodge number 28 for DJK. Matt Shirley is on the show. Matt, thank you so much.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me.
Ah, there we go.
Nice.
He's got the Provincial right on camera to start.
Product placement.
Yeah, product
Beautiful.
placement. I mean, we don't have it yet, but let's go. Come on. We're willing.
Get the Bublés.
We'll get the buble. Come on, that's what we need. But Matt, honestly, this is awesome.
Plug Whitey here.
There you go. Yeah, plug WMI. We don't get an opportunity to really chat about the Western kind of side of racing. And, if we go back a couple of years, and yeah, it's dating us a little bit, you got the Western CASCAR Series, and that's basically that's how I knew about Western racing. And,
Yep.
and I guess Graydon, you'd probably be about the same, right? It was really just, that was it. We don't have that anymore. So luckily RS1's kind of come to it. And we've seen the weekly racing out at Edmonton and then now at Sutherland. So how is the Western scene for motorsports?
Overall, it's quite healthy right now, which is really good. For us with the late model division, especially at Sutherland Automotive Speedway, we had great car counts last year. And we've always generally from like Saskatchewan and Alberta been able to really pull some good car counts. Like when it was called the Western Speed Association last like 4 or 5 years. And for our touring races, we had anywhere between 16 all the way up to 25 cars per event. So it's
Nice.
and last year we had the inaugural Bridge City 200 in Saskatoon. And that was a great event. And as well, the Western Rattler 300 in Penticton. That was an absolute bombshell of an event. That was sweet. And there was, I think, 24 cars for that one. And I heard there's even more coming this year. So racing that way is really good. The late model division, we have more area to travel in between tracks, which is the part that's a little bit more when tracks are trying to work together, especially you're trying to really space out those big events. But the street stocks and that's a division that's been absolutely insane. They've averaged at our big event for the Street Stock Invitational in Saskatoon like 20 plus cars. They started like 28 the one time. They were going 3-4 wide. The late models had 16 cars like the week before. We wrecked 4 of them, and the street stocks went like 15 laps, 4 wide, 3 wide, banging fenders for like 20 laps without putting a caution on. So yeah, to answer your question, very short and sweet. It's really healthy and it's growing.
That's awesome to hear that it's kind of the new pandemic, if you will, for motorsports, that right now things feel I mean, if you go back a few years, I don't know what it's like been out there, but there was kind of some uncertainty and just with track ownerships, even series, just feeling pinches here, there, whatever it's been. But like across the board, it feels like the overall energy in motorsports right now is up, and it's a good feeling, and it's a good time to get involved in new series. Talk about your career to date and what brings you to the NASCAR Pinty series, Matt.
Oh, wow. So growing up, well, we were talking about the CASCAR West. I don't know if you guys probably heard my dad's name, Dan. So growing up, I watched Dad race ever since I was a little kid, and I was on his crew when I was old enough, and I would be the kid who, glued the nuts onto the wheels there for the pit stops, getting ready. And nice. I would be the designated back window cleaner because it was the only one who would fit at the time. Now it's a little bit tighter. It's a mop for that one to get at it. But basically, it was something I always wanted to do. And there was one time we went to BC, and I remember we were watching some mini cup cars, and I think it was at Vernon at the time, maybe. And I realized kid 14 could drive, and I was like, Dad, we gotta go racing. I was like, Matt, we don't have these cars at home. I was like, we need to get these cars at home. And he's like, we'll get a job first. So it was really good initiative. I even tried when I was like 12 years old. I think I put a little, or maybe I might have to be younger, because I had a little Jimmy Johnson NASCAR little notepad thing where I tried pricing out a go-kart thing. And, I was young and had no idea what it came to. So Dad told me again, go get a job. So I was 14. I got a job and saved up enough money to buy my first go-kart. And once Dad saw that kind of initiative where we bought it, he came on board, and we did go-karting for 3.5, 4 years. There we have a beautiful track just north of the city, the Saskatoon Car Racers in Martinsville, which is like about 20-30 minute drive from our house. And we raced there for, again, like 3.5 years. The last year we did that, we traveled out west. We went to Chilliwack, BC, went to Stratotech, Alberta. And you want to talk about like kart racing that's wild. Stratotech was like Daytona 500 because we had little 4-stroke karts, and it was like a Formula like SE kind of track. So you're pinned the entire time, and if you got out of the draft, you're done. So that was such a cool experience, and we had a lot of good times. We wanted to race out in Chilliwack. I never won a championship in go-karting, finished second a couple years, but it was actually, in my 4th year, we were doing a little bit more. We went to 2-stroke stuff for a little bit in the Rotax. And then at that moment, that one summer, Dad was kind of getting after the CASCAR now. This is now Sportsman, we called them, the Siemens West division for a bit. And Dad was kind of phasing out his career. We had both my grandpas on both sides of the family pass away that summer, unfortunately. But that was kind of it was a kind of a blessing in disguise almost, because we took it to step back, all of us, just focus on family, which was really good. And then how the tradition is, last race of the year, everyone wants to try to bring a car out, and Dad wasn't really racing at this time. We did a half year with the go-karting, and Dad was trying to sell the car. It wasn't selling. So I went from go-karting, and I was about 16 years old, and the only car I drove was a Sunfire GT front wheel drive. And he asked me, he's like, do you want to try the car? I was like, yeah, it's obviously like dream come true. So we ended up going to test. I told Dad, I was like, listen, we talk about the silver spoon mentality in racing, all these young kids who get these, free rides, getting a chance. And this was my chance. But on a local level, I went from skip mini stock, skip street stock, go right into a sportsman car or an old cast car, no experience. And I was like, just can you promise me to get some practice? Because I don't want to embarrass myself. So we go the day before the race to go practice. Dad didn't check the schedule, and the track was booked for a streetcar rental. So I did the race without any practice, except for the morning. Spun it out a couple times in hot laps, realizing, when you get the thing loose, maybe don't get off the gas. Like in go-karting, you totally get off the gas and let the car corral itself. So I did the reverse spin a couple times, kept it off the wall, and it ended up only finishing one lap down and finished 7th though. So after that, I was able to get retain some of Dad's sponsors the next year and build some of my own. And now when you look at Provincial Vodka, you look at Elite Property Management, Denry Tire, basically all the sponsors on our car now are new, with the exception of we have 929 The Bull, great radio sponsor, Sharp Auto Trim, who supplies us decals, and who else has been with us? Saxon Custom Powder Coating for powder coating the car ever since the beginning. So it's been a wild ride, and I've been in stock car racing now this is my 10th year, which is insane just to think of. And so when you talk about the Pinties, this is a long-winded story, sorry, but the Pinty series, obviously, Dad did the race a couple times, and I obviously watched him with Casper, and that was kind of like the pinnacle, the goal. And I talked with people like DJ before about what it would take to kind of put that program together. When Dad did it, they built a car. And for myself personally, it was just not in the financial budget to go buy a car. I always had in the back of my mind, I was like, if you get the right sponsor. And then we went through COVID, and COVID just made it so it's like, it's, you don't expect you don't know what next year is going to bring. So I had some assets that I was like, and I talked with my lovely girlfriend, Tennille, who we've been together for 6 years. And I was like, if I sell this and I sell that and I send out some feelers, you support this crazy idea. And this was 3 weeks before the event. So when we talk about we put it together at the last minute, it was literally a last minute throw together. I sold the assets, which I needed, which one of them was my car. And I talked to some sponsor. I was like, hey, listen, if I put this together, would you be in? And it was really humbling and cool to see. I had like 6 people, smaller sponsors, say yes immediately. I had one sponsor who's with us throughout the last 4 or 5 years say we're in. And then I had Provincial Vodka come on board with the biggest way to get on the hood. And yeah, that was a wild ride.
It's awesome to hear this because, Matt, we want to make sure that we have the audio. So that's why Graydon and I are actually muted in between. So, but it's amazing to hear stories like this, because one thing that you just talked about is the silver spoon aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have a last name.
Yeah.
A last name that's well known across Canada as it is. And the fact is that you had to put this together. You had to find some sponsors. You had to make the deals. Did that help out a little bit? Not even the slightest? Or did you really want to do this as I am selling myself here?
Well, it's best. I'm very lucky and fortunate because I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for Dad. So like my program basically got fast tracked at that very beginning, going from the go-karting to the sportsman. But that being said, like Dad was there supporting team role, like as a car owner role that way. Right. And I was basically bring the funds to go racing. And I have a lot of respect for the people who start from scratch. Like I have a good friend, Kenny Hines, who he started bare bones mini stock. He was up into late model. And then the last couple of years we've been able to run door to door together. So it's for when it came to the NASCAR race though, my dad was like, you're crazy kind of, but he was like, if you put it together, obviously we're going to support you. So but you know what it is? It's a lot of, I feel like if I just reflect on these last 10 years, I had a last name, which really helped and got me kickstarted, but you have to build your own brand as a racer. And if you want it, you need to show that you're able to work your tail off for it. Part of the thing, the track out here is a volunteer run organization. So we don't have a set owner for the track. It's all volunteers, hard work, sweat equity. And I knew when I started racing, I had to try to, gain the respect of a lot of competitors, because half the battle is racing door to door with those competitors. If they don't like you, they're going to be very rude to you. And so I was on the executive for like 6 years. And then I actually took a year off of racing because I was in school for marketing. And I actually when I went through well, high school, they always said I was going to be a mechanical engineer because I was good at math and I like cars. Duh. Took a month of it, was like, no. So I took something, took a year off, and then I went into business and marketing. So I was like, well, I'm going to do something that's going to help better myself because I love racing. And if I can help build myself up, then that's going to, who knows what the avenues what will open up. So that's what we did. And then it's been great. So I think a lot of people have, there's still always going to be people who, look at you like, well, it's the name, you got a chance because of this and that. There's always going to be haters no matter what, especially as soon as you dip your toes into that kind of prestige with the NASCAR Pinty series. But it is possible. It just, you need to make sure, obviously burning bridges is never a good idea with anybody. I don't care if you got a bad experience with someone in a previous sponsorship, a previous relationship. The more people that you burn bridges with, that's going to hurt you down the road. The more you can just, build your brand, build your relationships, and show people. I mean, when I bring on sponsors, I want them. I'm not selling them that you're gonna gain X amount of business. We're gonna come out. You're gonna have a great time with your clients and friends. Maybe you're gonna build some business out of it, right? I mean, that's not the ideal. That's ideally what you want. But if you can have fun doing sponsoring something, that goes a long ways more than maybe just doing, a donation, if it's just even for a charity event or, just dumping money on, radio ads, but everything is all interconnected, right? So if you can put a feeling more towards what you're doing, it's huge. It goes a long way.
Our good buddy, Adam Ross, for podcasters, he said the passion will fuel you guys. And it's true for racers, for anybody that's got a real passion and a desire to do something that they love. And it's pretty obvious that's that's the case with you too. And we always talk about how and another thing Adam Ross says too is racing is a sport that will routinely kick you squarely in the junk and you keep coming back for more. And I mean, yeah. It's funny, but it's also true. I mean, but at the same time, some of the most hardest working people that we are privileged to know are racers, because maybe it is that mentality, but maybe it's just you don't get anything that you don't earn, and racing is almost one of the ultimate sports that exemplify that, I think, right?
100%. And it's how much, when you talk about kind of going down to how much effort you can put in as an individual, the one thing that will limit people, a lot of people try to do it all themselves, from driving to mechanic to getting your own sponsors, everything. And some of them have a Monday to Friday job. Some of them have kids. Like, you need the support around you. And I was very blessed, obviously, with my dad as well. I've had a crew guy, Jeremy Brooks, who's my spotter, my younger brother. They've been with us they've been helping us every year since the beginning. And Ron McLean now is another. He's basically a backyard mechanic that's been with us for he was helped dad back in the CASCAR days, and he's been with us for the last 10 years myself too. So it takes, and then how many people outside with my mom, my girlfriend, just helping out, if it's making meals at a track, if it's coming out, if it's helping us at a display. It's Chantel has always said it takes like a small town to run their team, and it is honestly the most truthful thing. So the more relationships you have, the further you can push it, because you just keep pulling resources.
I'm very curious on this. You had mentioned it earlier, and you race out of Sutherland Automotive Raceway, and that was really attractive to me. What you had said, that there's not a track owner per se; it's a bunch of volunteers that come together. That in itself is an amazing racing story. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your home track, essentially.
Yeah, so, okay. There's a lot more historians that are a lot better at this, but they basically, we just celebrated, the 60th anniversary at the track, and they started back on 8th Street, which is kind of like the main drag down Saskatoon for all the car enthusiasts. They had a track on 8th Street at the time, and it was basically just a bunch of guys that, old school racing 60 years ago, they had the parachutes or whatever for the lap belts. They got it seemed like milk crates for seats, for crying out loud, what some of those guys did. And they did that for a few years there. Then they moved to probably the most well-known track was Bridge City Speedway, and that was out on the north end of town, which then it got engulfed. But that's when CASCAR was going out there, CASCAR West. The city expanded, they got kicked out, and they moved to a place out in out just north, even further north of the city, out between Saskatoon and Martinsville now, and they've been there for, goodness, that's been over 10 years already over that, so about 12, 13, I think. So, and it's all been volunteer the entire time, and it's, the stories you hear are insane. My dad was a president for a little bit at the organization. Every team at some point has put in their time, and there's now, I mean, I'm a third generation driver actually, so before my dad was my great uncle Tom, and he was the one that raced on 8th Street for a little bit there. So it's, with the volunteer run organization, it does come with its challenges, obviously, because everyone's got their own ways to make that facility even better. And sometimes I think that can get lost throughout the years because, you know, end up butting heads and whatnot. But it blows my mind. And the club has been able to build it to the way now where they're hosting NASCAR Pinty series events, for crying out loud, and bringing in sponsorship and all working together. We have one of the reasons why, I mean, you can become so successful as a driver is the competition you race against. And I'm very blessed. Like, there's guys, Jimmy Gaunt, Trent Seidel, Dave Bowen, guys who've been racing for 30, 40 years. It blows my mind. So being able to race with those guys and see their commitment and passion towards the Raceway, I can't believe it's volunteer run for as long as it's been. It's wild.
Fan following, in racing in general, but it's huge. Cam, my buddy there, kind of created a paint scheme challenge this year to celebrate all the amazing paint schemes that we saw, particularly in the NASCAR Pinty series. And you're right, man. It was pretty smoking hot. It went pretty deep. Let's talk a little bit about your ride, and maybe is there 2023 plans in the works?
I am pushing as much as I can. I want another crack at it. I mean, for us to put it together in the 3 weeks we did, and as well when that paint scheme challenge came out, when you guys did that, thank you, because I took that as I was like, well, let's see. We went up against Chantel for our first round, so that one was tough. But once we got past Chantel, I was like, okay, well, we got to represent the West good. And then we're able to, I think I got knocked out by the yellow car, I believe, Turkey. I believe I got, then you did the beat, like basically the last chance, and I got it. And I was like, well, this is sweet. So then once we started going down that path, I'm like, well, we can't give up now. It's like, if we can get past, it's like, I was looking at some of the other votes. I'm like, we can do this. So I waited. I had a couple of tricks up my sleeve. And when we went against Brandon McFarland, oh my goodness, the three-way battle there at the end, I threw every book I had at it. I had all my contacts on my phone, you guys. I kid you not. I spammed way too many people. I sent apology texts after. I was like, listen, you don't understand. Like, this is the NASCAR Pinty series. If we can make even close, like a dent to get to the top, and we made it to the final, it goes a long ways. So when I'm talking with Provincial Vodka and all the other sponsors, it's like, listen, here's the numbers you guys are getting. Like, views, we're on NASCAR, we're on TSN. They joined basically the hype train on it. And I was like, look at all the impressions, like the stats you guys were saying for like that one post alone, I think at 14,000 impressions or something. And that was just,
It was actually really funny that happened, because you and one of the things that was behind that idea, yes, is that sure, I love, one of the things that attracts me to motorsports, and I think Graydon and one of his sons, actually Riley, and I shared this in common, is we love paint schemes, and that's the one thing that always brought us into racing. And but one of the things I was hoping to do was to get representation from all over, because one thing that we can say is that Quebec kind of rules the Pinty series in terms of fan support. And what it showed in this contest was that you and Brandon McFarland have huge followings, and that you don't give up. You faced Brandon 3 times. 3, that's not, and that wasn't the goal wasn't to have 3 visits against the same guy, but it just so happened, and it still wasn't a runaway in the final. And I kind of want that to continue next year, to be honest with you. I kind of feel an Atlantic versus Western battle each year is kind of the way it needs to happen. And the what you did, Matthew, what I really appreciated was that you and Brandon were going at each other on social media as well, like congratulating each other, and that's what it's all about in the end, right? Is bringing racers from all over the place. And I'm not sure about what Graydon thinks, but I'm pretty sure we had the same opinion that I want to see Matthew Shirley and Brandon McFarland on the same track now.
Yeah, like it just. This is about you, Matt, but I just the whole paint scheme battle ignited that kind of rivalry, but like good natured ribbing sort of spirit from guys that race at other ends of the country, or essentially, but it brings us all together too, and it's something that we strive to do. That's part of our mission, and it's just so cool to see that happening. And man, you guys took that and ran with it. And I said, that was all Cam, because him and his paint schemes, that's a passion in itself. But man, you guys took it and ran with it. So I mean, I think to make that paint scheme challenge what it was, I hope to see it back. But I mean, we're able to talk to people. Like we talked to Mario Andretti from Pennsylvania for our 100th episode. We went to Chase Pinsonneau here in Ontario. We went to JP Bergeron out in Quebec, and then Gary Elliott in Nova Scotia. And now we're here to you out west. I mean, we're so privileged to talk to people literally all over the map, and all the passion's the same. And it definitely shows with you, man. So that was a long way of getting around to saying that it's just so great to see. That's what we need, man.
Yeah, and
your passion is going to be what sells motorsports to people.
It really is. And I don't know we've thought of several names before, right? We had the Orange Express for Jason Hathaway, Captain Kubota. We had the Morneau Mafia, which is the newest one for Ray Morneau Jr. Everybody loves Raymond. I like that one. That was fun.
That was good.
I don't know if it's gonna like the wing nuts or something for like Brandon McFarland, since his winging it sponsorship. I don't know what the Shrieking Shirleys or something like that. I don't know, but there's definitely something that has to happen at some point if you guys are able to get to. I'm gonna say Delaware would be the place to get McFarland and Shirley at Delaware, and then you have
Worlds collide,
a screech off against a provincial vodka off. I mean, it kind of writes itself, and then you add in your Pinty's chicken with it, and it's the perfect.
You're a marketing guy.
There you go. It's a marketing gold right there, is it not?
Yeah. No, I'm totally, that would be absolutely outstanding if they pull that off.
And I imagine, like I said, we're not full of just great ideas, but stupid ones too. And I want to go out there and say, Matt, the experience that you got must have been like no other, getting to race against guys like DJ Kennington, Alex Tagliani, Mark Dilley, and you weren't last. You were you were battling in that group, and it was. I don't know, Graydon. I of all of our races last year, the two at Saskatoon were a hot ticket.
Yeah, tell us about like being in the heat of that battle, man. It looked pretty intense. And that track is a racy place.
Yeah, no, and I mean we had the NASCAR to the sportsman back from doing that there was definitely a lot of correlations there. Nice. The sports essentially outdated and not as much power. But going from the late model to the NASCAR, I mean, the first time I sat in that car was when we put the program together in 3 weeks. And I got to thank DJ and the whole team there for being down for that, because I was like, DJ, you got a car to come out here? And for him to have that car set up the way it was, and have we had this one crew guy, Zach, help us out too, with, because we had our whole team there, which was really cool. Like, it was our identical team that we ran with the late model the Tuesday night, which we won, which was awesome. So I had some good mojo going into it. And it was, but the first time sitting it and going was just, it was just, you're trying to like come, you usually with the late model, you go out there, you know, do a few laps, you can get adjustment. That one is just, you're just trying to take it all in. People said, just enjoy it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't want to suck. We want to be good. I mean, I got sponsored on the car, for crying out loud. People have expectations. I mean, we were the late model champs, so we pushed it, and I think our qualifying effort was good. I had a little bit more in it. I really thought, actually, like, after the first race, we finished 11th, but I totally sucked at the beginning of that race, and they based the second race starting spot about your fast time. I started on the outside, and you guys, you would have laughed. My experience for the start on that race, I was like, okay, these are the big guns. I was like, I'm going to do a 2, 3, 4 on the restart. And if some of these Pinty guys are hearing me and they're just laughing, or girls, because I just got blown by at the start, man. I span the tires in second. I'm going through the gears. I felt like I'm in Star Wars light speed, getting blown by, though. Took me 4 cars to get by me until I finally got my own, and I was just, ugh. So for us starting in 23rd in that second race, that stung a little bit. And we just needed a couple more cautions, because we ended up finishing 14th, and we got shuffled in a couple of those late race cautions. But I need another crack at it. So yeah, I wish I could give something official announcement for you guys here, but we're looking in the right direction, and you guys will be one of the first ones to know for sure. Because yeah, that experience, man, it just makes you want to have another crack at it. And the racing, like, when you talk about the competitors, I mean, I tip my hat to all those racers. It's a different level of compete. Our late model division is very competitive. But with those cars too, there's so much more you can do with them. You can lean on guys. You can push each other around a little bit. You get put 3 wide, no problem. I mean, I tagged the wall a couple times in that thing. Not going to lie, just nicked it. I'm trying to get that thing going. I'm just like, just brushing the walls. Like, gosh, man. Like, it brought the best out of all the racers. And I know the fans really enjoyed the show and had a whole bunch of support. We want to give her another go.
Well, we hope to see it. I mean, as fans, yes, you're always watching who's out front, but honestly, watching those Pinty's cars is partly why it's a series that's so beloved to us. Is you can watch every car in the field and everybody sawing on the wheel and working hard to keep it off the wall or keep it out of the infield or the inner wall or off one another. They slide around, and from what I'm told, they don't drive like anything else. And I mean, it's awesome to see so many different disciplines come together. Like you said, like Cam said, to the point of having Tagliani in the field, having yourself, having lifers like DJ Kennington, he was born in a stock car. And then there's like just so many coming together. It's an amazing thing to watch. And watching all you guys do your thing out on the track at the same time, it can make for some chaos, but it's great for us fans to watch. So, man, we hope, honestly, that we hope to see you out there again. And as Cam said, we hope that maybe sometime that you can make the trip to Ontario, or we'll make the trip out west and see you do your thing.
For sure. No, that'd be great, you guys. I know we went out there with the pro late model for the short track nationals for 2 years there, and that was a different beast, and that was really cool. Doing the NASCAR race would be cool. And yeah, who knows? I mean, you keep pushing. We'll see. I mean, doing this race, I realized then it's like, once you know what it takes to do it, it brings a whole different table than when you're approaching sponsors and that now. So it's like, so if I had any like recommendations for anyone thinking, it's like, you know, it's like, well, the sponsor's very rarely going to come to you for that. You need to go out there and show them that you want to do it and that you're going to give them that value. Because I think everyone expects that. They always have the dream. Like, I mean, and part of it's like, you know, like all the racing movies on there, they got the one owner coming down, I want you to drive my car. It's like, well, you know, that guy's probably put in 30 years of backstory that you don't know until that moment. So just everyone's just got to keep digging, and who knows what kind of opportunities you'll get.
Just as long as we get to see you race in the NASCAR Pinty Series with the giant Fig Newtons decal on your windshield, I mean, we'll be all good. Fig Newtons, right? I mean, we're talking sponsorship deals right here. I mean, it's gold again, right? But again, we're doing marketing, so we know that the more product placement, Fig Newton's maybe provincial vodka right across the windshield. Sounds like a great deal to me. But you did have a couple other racers. We're going to wrap it up shortly here, but I just wanted to know about what it was like. Not just for yourself to be in the race, but you also had Jamie Krizik out there who's done it for many years, and Chantel Kalika. How is the reception for those drivers at these and yourself at the race? Because I'm going to bring back our good buddy, everybody loves Raymond, Ray Morneau Jr. When he was in the Pinty's race at Delaware Speedway, the crowd was absolutely going bonkers for him. The loudest ovation. I imagine it's the same for the Western Series drivers, and that the fans are just so supportive of the local racers.
100%. And I think really one of the successes NASCAR can have, especially for the Pinty Series, is having that local injection there on a per race basis. Because I know I was numb basically going through it for driver intros, because to me it seemed like, that was like, when you're a little kid and you're playing hockey and you have 30 parents cheering for you, it seemed like a lot. But just hearing the roar of the crowd when we came up for driver intros, and Chantel's always had a great following, so she always gets a really good roar. And Jamie, I think, gets more of a roar in Edmonton than he does out here, just because he's more well known out there. But Jamie, it was cool as the racers, because we were all like, I think everyone's rooting for each other, but at the end of the day, everyone's just arch competitors and rivals out there. So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. And yeah, they had me do those crab glasses. I don't know if you see them doing for the intros.
Live whistle.
Yes.
That's live.
No one else would do it. And I was looking at these, and who was it that was, one of the guys was Lessard. He's telling me, no, you got him upside down. I was like, Lessard, don't give me that. And he got to flip up so the claws are up. He wanted me to have him the upside down or something. Making me laugh. It was good. So it was like, even the driver banter was good before you got up there. But yeah, it was. So I had the crab glasses going on. I got an absolute roar from the crowd. And then we went to go race with some of the best in the country, which was really cool.
You've obviously got some amazing partners that have helped you get to the racetrack each and every week, not just for the Pinty Series, but for your weekly racing events. And you obviously show a lot of finesse out there.
Nice.
There we go. But we want to always give the opportunity for you to shout out those amazing partners that get you to the racetrack. So this is your moment to thank them, and also to, if you have social media, to shout it out for people to follow.
Yeah, people can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. It's my two main streams. There is just, and for my Facebook, it's just a personal page is what I have for it. I do that strategically right now until I hit over 10,000 friends. Toss me a friend invite if you're a race fan. I'm in. That's how I personally like building my brand that way. So yeah, just Matthew Shirley on Facebook. It's Matt_Shirley 12 on Instagram. And then as well for our sponsors, I'm going to thank first the ones that helped us for that NASCAR race, obviously, Provincial Vodka, Lead Property Management, Denray Tire, Sharp Auto Trim 929 The Bull. We had Burkle Electric. Oh boy, I got to go through everybody here. TJ's Pizza, Al Krauth, Royal LePage. I had Freshco, help us out, Shirley Service, Family Garage. And I'm missing one. Creative Click too is another one, and that was basically everyone who helped us out for the NASCAR race, which was pretty wild. And all the friends and family. I said Denray Tire, they're our main sponsor, obviously, for our late model program. With them, David's Lawn Care, Saskatoon Custom Powder Coating, Backcountry Welding, Stoke Center, R&D Race Cars. The list keeps going on. I could keep doing this basically all day. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody here, though. I got David's Lawn, Saskatoon Custom Powder Coating.
There's a quiz if you forget.
What? Sorry?
I said there's a quiz, so don't forget.
Yeah, no kidding. I think, that's... And all the partners, Saskatoon Co-op, I'm going to give them a shout out because they were my first title sponsor going into the stock car racing, and they even helped us out with the go-karting a little bit there too. So I'll give those guys a shout out too.
And it's so great to see it feels like you're living the dream, and we can't wait to hear more about it. And we thank you very much for joining us, Matt.
No, and hey, you guys are working your tails off. I mean, I've been seeing it from, you guys you've been popping up on my Facebook all the time from out west here. So to be
sorry about that.
Great job. I mean, you had Andretti for crying out loud for your 100th episode. Like you guys said, you guys are growing and expanding, and I hope partners come jumping on board with you guys too. I hope, because you guys work your tail off, and I know because you guys work Monday to Friday, right? Too.
Mm-hmm. We do.
People like that's a battle. So
yeah,
podcasting don't pay, but it doesn't pay in money. But man, it's truly a labor of love when we get to do this. Most usually on Tuesday evenings, talking to guys like yourself. Like, honestly, I have gotten to drive a couple of times now, but I mean, racers are our heroes. Cam's gotten to call a couple races, and it's an honor to talk to you guys. And it's just stuff that we want to hang out and talk with you guys when you guys are at the office, but you don't have time to do it. So, I mean, that's just kind of what we're about. Get you guys on and talk about everything we'd like to talk about, but we don't want to bother you when you're at the racetrack. So we really do appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
No, I appreciate you guys. And if I ever make it out to Delaware, I'll be bringing some vodka for us to have after the race.
Woo! Sounds like a great plan indeed. They won't know what hit them when we get Stickers and Scuffs and Matt Shirley together at the racetrack. Thank you so much to Matt Shirley for this episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We will catch you all next week with Ollie Ferguson.